I have to be honest. This Shadir Sanders conversation is pissing me off, like badly, because it's such a good example of how little people actually understand white supremacy and racism, and yet somehow everyone thinks that they are experts in white supremacy and racism to be able to be the arbiters of what isn't racist.
Hello guys, welcome once again to AfriPost. I hope wherever you're watching us from, you're having a great time. Now, many times you've always talked about how the illusion of meritocracy survives in America, because many people tend to talk about how the society within America is meritocratic. But then studies have gone into this and we have realized that there is nothing like meritocracy in America. Everything you get because of the connections you have, the lobbying that you do, and the people that you hang around with. It's not all about meritocracy, because even those who are favored or who got the opportunity to benefit from meritocracy in the first place have now gotten an advantage over those who did not get them. And therefore, that issue of meritocracy is flat and can't be supported in any way. And that is also a narrative that has also been pushed by people who try to talk about racism not existing in America, white supremacists being very minimal in terms of how it affects black people's progression. So I came across a clip here that's talking about how blacks are not really able to get to the top of their game, especially in avenues where white people have an upper hand.
47 continues to embolden the racists and the bigots, including those who own NFL teams. People who say politics don't matter are not paying attention. There's absolutely no way Shadir Sanders should have gone from being the number 2 draft pick to being drafted as number 144, because politics matters. They're emboldened. They feel righteous. They feel like, oh yeah, well, humility is important and you just need to, we want to make sure it's a good fit. And, we're not sure if he's going to be coachable. You talk about how black men abandon their families, yet when a black man does not do that, stands strong and stands up for his kids, now all of a sudden he's a problem. It's not a problem when Archie Manning does it. It's not a problem then, but oh my God, Deion Sanders, absolutely not. He talks too much. He's got too much to say. You just need to sit down and be quiet, like a good little boy. That's what they mean. When they say, you just really need to be humble. And the media is absolutely, responsible for what is happening right now. You don't go from being number 2 to being drafted as number 144 without the media having a huge say-so. This anonymous coach that they're talking about, and all this thing, he didn't do this and he didn't. Y'all, we've been seeing folks knock folks out and get drafted. Robbing, drug charges. Y'all can save that BS for somebody else. Because see, the character of a person does not matter. Y'all draft women beaters. Y'all draft rapists. Y'all don't give a damn about what somebody acts like or what they think or what they do. What you care about are the dollars. You care about the talent that they are going to bring and the billions of dollars that they are going to bring to your franchise. That is what you care about. Y'all pay off hookers and strippers and all kinds of stuff. Y'all be paying off baby mamas. Y'all cannot sit here and act like the issue is, he just wasn't humble enough. No, the issue is he's not bending the knee. The issue is he does not need you, and you are trying to make sure that the little black boy stays in his place. The issue is you are trying to make him a pawn when he was created to be a knight. When he is being elevated to being a king, you do not want him to take that. And so you play politics and you act like humility is the issue. Because you've drafted folks with serious character flaws. And now you want to act like humility is the character flaw that broke the camel's back. We're gonna show him. Yeah. I don't care what anybody says. Politics is in everything. And 47 has emboldened the racists and the bigots, including all of these NFL team owners.
I have to be honest. This Shadir Sanders conversation is pissing me off, like badly. Because it's such a good example of how little people actually understand white supremacy and racism, and yet somehow everyone thinks that they are experts in white supremacy and racism to be able to be the arbiters of what isn't racist, what isn't white supremacy, especially from people who have never experienced white supremacy in certain ways, who have never considered white supremacy in certain ways, right? Just because you can say, it's wrong for the police to barge into a woman's home while she's asleep and murder her, or it's wrong for the police to kneel on somebody's neck until they suffocate and die. Okay, those are not the only ways that white supremacy and racism manifest, especially not in the daily life of black and brown people. And this is something that I think also because people internalize these things so much, these systems and these constructs and this history, that even a lot of black and brown people don't understand white supremacy and racism, not truly. So what I've seen a lot in relation to Shadir is this idea of, well, he's so egotistical, we got to humble him. Well, that's interesting because I don't see the same narrative about white quarterbacks. I've seen that actually be something that's a positive, right? Oh, they have edge to them. We want our quarterbacks to have edge. So there's that. But largely, again, the idea of needing to humble or break down a black person is racist. It's racist, right? The idea that you want to dilute an unapologetic young black man who has bravado, who again has deep confidence, sometimes maybe erring on arrogance, but that you feel like you need to humble, and not just humble, but now humiliate him, a top 10 Heisman candidate. It's white supremacy, right? You have a bunch of team owners, right? Largely white men, colluding to break down a young black man. Oh yeah, no. We're gonna teach this boy a lesson. That is racism. That is absolutely racism. And then when people bringing up things like, oh, well, other black quarterbacks have been drafted, other black players have been drafted. Yes, it's a largely black league that is also a racist league, right? Did Colin Kaepernick not happen? What? And yeah, also, yes, other black quarterbacks were taken. Cam Ward, as an example, was taken number 1. But blackness is not a monolith, right? Just because Cam Ward shows up in a way as a black person that fits the mold of what the NFL is looking for more, and sort of like the quiet, sort of palatable blackness, doesn't mean anything in relation to Shadir, right? Like, again, blackness is not a monolith. You can love one black person and despise another. There are black people who are Trump supporters. There are black people who are anti-black. Being black doesn't inherently mean that you are the same type of black as somebody else. And yes, it is racist to think so. And also to this point, yeah, if we talk about the first round, sure, I can see Shadir maybe not going. Second round, dicey. We are now going into the 4th round of the NFL draft, and Shadir Sanders has not been drafted. A top 10 Heisman candidate. And then people are also saying like, oh, well, it's because of his father. He's a Nepo baby. Well, that's interesting, right? Sure, maybe. But never have I heard being a Nepo baby such an issue, right, for people otherwise. Because realistically, when Eli Manning was drafted, Archie Manning's son, Peyton Manning's brother, he was difficult. So much so that he didn't want to go to the team that drafted him, the Chargers. So he forced himself to get traded to the Giants. But Shadir is difficult. Okay. Cool. This is all largely rooted in the same reason why Lamar Jackson wasn't drafted until late in the draft, right? When he should have probably been the first pick. This is a multi-time MVP now. But before, he was just, for lack of a better term, an urban hood black guy who should have probably been a wide receiver until he showed you, nah, I'm a quarterback. Right? Racism, white supremacy. Y'all don't know what you're talking about, right? I mean, the last thing I say is even the idea that so many of you are getting off on the fact that this is happening to Shadir is because you actually hate black people. And some of you have internalized, even as black and brown people, internalized anti-blackness without realizing it, right? How blackness shows up in a way that works for you or doesn't work for you is largely rooted in white supremacy, racism, and anti-blackness. Wearing the chain, having the bravado, throwing the rollie up, while also producing, yeah, you don't like that. You want your black boys to go to church, be quiet, and just say, I have nothing to say. Football and God over everything. We know what you want. And we know why you want it. Racism. Simple as that. And I'm not going to argue with a bunch of people who aren't, I mean, even if you are an expert, I'm not going to argue with you. But y'all don't know what you're talking about. Literal experts. I'm going to be egotistical for a second. I'm an expert on race. Literally an expert on race. Degrees, readings. I get paid to come in and unpack these things. And yet I have I have white guys in my comments and black guys in my comments and white women in my comments and black women in my comments and all sorts of people of color in my comments. It's not about race. What do you know about race? What do you know about race? Nothing. Sorry.
Let's talk about what just happened to Shadir Sanders, because it's not just about football. It's about power, race, and how black athletes are still punished for refusing to know their place. A year ago, Shadir was being talked about as the potential #1 NFL draft pick. And just last weekend, Colorado retired his jersey number, a rare honor. And yet, when draft night came, Sanders wasn't picked in the first round, or the second, or the third. What happened? Some say he's overrated. Others say that he benefited too much from throwing to Travis Hunter, like Johnny Manziel did with Mike Evans at Texas A&M, except Johnny, a white quarterback, still went in the first round. No hesitation. But there's a deeper, uglier story here. Word leaked that the NFL owners and general managers didn't like Sanders' attitude, that his entitlement and his arrogance put them off. They didn't like that he skipped the draft in Green Bay to throw his own party in Texas, surrounded by dollar bill signs and his personal brand, legendary. They didn't like that he celebrated himself without their permission. Does this sound familiar? It should. It's the same script that blackballed Colin Kaepernick for kneeling during the anthem. It's the same script that always punishes black athletes for being too proud, too loud, too free. Let's be clear. White athletes show swagger all the time and get called confident, fiery, competitive. But when a young black man dares to do the same, when he refuses to bow, refuses to be grateful in the way that these owners expect, suddenly he's entitled, difficult, arrogant. And this isn't just about Sanders. It's systemic. It's why black quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson are still called athletic, while white quarterbacks are called intelligent, or they have great football IQ. It's why Simone Biles gets criticized for being too good. It's why black baseball players, when they flip bats, are called disrespectful, while a white player gets a Gatorade commercial. Talent has never been the question. Character has never been the question. Control has always been the question. Until we stop pretending that there is a level playing field and start calling out racism baked into how athletes are judged, punished, and remembered, the system will keep producing the same old outcomes. Shadir's story isn't an exception. Unfortunately, it's the rule, and it's time we admitted it.
Man, at this point, fourth round, show me them interviews. I want to see it. Honestly, I want to see just how bad these interviews supposedly were. And I'm talking to my own team as well, New York Giants. Show me the interviews. Because I'm doing the math. I'm looking at all of the teams who spent extra time with Shador, all of the ones who supposedly showed their interest. That rumor had to have come from one of these teams. I'm really thinking it came from the Giants. It's sad for me to say, but if that proves to be true, I am highly disappointed in my team, and I want to see those interviews. Because unless that young man walked into the interview and said, I will never practice for you, I will sell drugs at the facility, I will follow you home and assault your family the first chance that I get, there is nothing that he could. What was so bad? Y'all got to stop playing with the fans. Y'all really do. All right. NFL teams like to be, oh, we do so much research. We do all of this stuff. There are things that we know that the fans don't know. This is a time when fans, especially football fans, have never had more access to players, have never had more knowledge about schemes, have never been more informed about the league and the sport as a whole. So y'all can't keep running this excuse of we know something that everybody else doesn't. Show me the interviews. Show us. Freedom of Information Act. Show us those interviews.
Shador's going to Cleveland. Probably should have happened at the end of the first round. Should have happened in the second round. There's no reason why they should have drafted Dylan Gabriel over him. This was a humiliation ritual. This was a humiliation ritual. Just plain and simple. Now, Adam Schefter is now saying, hey, the Sanders developed a really great relationship with Jimmy Haslam, right? Like there's reporting that Cleveland brought him in tons of times, all these different things. The wildest part about all this is Deshaun's never going to play another snap in the NFL. Like, I don't think there's any question about that. Deshaun Watson will never play another snap in the NFL. He's just under contract right now. Joe Flacco, 372 years old. Shadir Sanders could start there this year. Like, Shadir Sanders could start in Cleveland this year. Kenny Pickett is awful. Horrible. Mind you, Kenny Pickett was a first-round pick, but that's beside the point. Shadir could start there this year. So, like, shout out to the GM of the Browns. You might have gotten your week 6 starting quarterback at 144. That's crazy. But this was a humiliation ritual if I've ever seen one. And I don't know. It's happened. This is what we were all waiting for. I could turn this mess off now. Like, congratulations to anyone else who gets drafted. We just only watch it for this one thing, if we're keeping it to that. But yeah, that's it. Next time to my TED Talk.
So we're out here doing all this work to make sure our young black boys are visionary, self-assured, confident, going as far even in Shadir Sanders' case to practice their autographs at a young age, because we know the work we're going to put in. We know what we're going for. And what we saw with this year's NFL draft pick in terms of the response to Shadir Sanders' pick and his timing was that it is indeed a crime to be an uppity Negro. No, I don't mean a legal one, I mean a public one. And while I am no NFL expert beyond studying the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime show, I can smell when people are upset about uppity blackness, especially rich uppity blackness, from a mile away. Especially that desire to humiliate a young black boy who has not done the started from the bottom now we here journey that most people are comfortable with. Am I talking about the real business football concerns that different members in the NFL might have about Sanders as a player? Absolutely not. We're not tackling that. Sure, he opted out of playing in the Shrine Bowl and said, I'm not going to necessarily participate in some drills done at the combine. It's totally fair for industry experts and league evaluators to go, we wonder how he'll play out as a quarterback in the locker room, right? We think his throw is good, but not great. We're loving his accuracy and his timing and the way he pulls certain things together. We have questions about XYZ. That's totally fine. This is a business decision and you are allowed to do that. And no one is crying racism because of that. We know he started all 4 of his collegiate seasons. We know his second school, the one at Colorado, retired his jersey along with another person. And of course, his dad is not the only person behind that. There's no way he could pull that off. Sanders has been noted to have an accurate deep throw. It is a plus, not a minus, that his father, Deion Sanders, has been there to help him and give him advice. And there was a reason that even President Trump himself tweeted that somebody better pick this guy if they want their team to win. And there's a reason that he was predicted as the NFL's #1 draft pick. It's been reported that some of his NFL interviews went really well and some didn't go as well. And there's a whole discussion here about how Sanders refuses to code switch, but how he tries and talks about trying to keep things as professional as possible while remaining true to himself. Participating in the NFL draft when you've been told you're going to be the #1 pick, when you have a wealthy family and doing a custom room, a chain, having a big celebration, what is wrong with that? What is arrogant about that? The feedback and shock that we saw around him having to wait so long to be drafted was not to do with necessarily his plays or his stats. It had to do with how people felt about his wealth and how people felt about how he carried himself. I saw some gleeful, embittered, angry comments that had absolutely nothing to do with his game. There was all this talk around arrogance and just over-the-top confidence, and I went and I checked out his page expecting some loud-spoken, brash child, and what I found was a soft-spoken, confident kid who has an awareness of all his different entrepreneurial pursuits and seems to be very grateful for all he has. What I found was that people seemed shook that a rich black kid with a rich black family from a dad who has been in this industry for a long time was acting like one. I found all over his Instagram this community of people who were really proud of the different partnerships he was working on and the work he's put into his own craft. They are happy to see this legacy and this brand continue, this kind of vision in this particular young man. Black boys in custom chains and nice cars with nice houses is fine to a lot of people, as long as you start with a distance and a story of struggle and pain. If you're never see, if you look around glad and frightened to be there, they see us and they're uncomfortable and they want us to be uncomfortable too. I am not seeing insufferable, unearned swagger. I am seeing someone step into his inheritance. And when he did not get his way, and he had humiliating rounds of going from #1 draft pick to sliding all the way down to the final day, what did we see? People from their comments seem to be expecting a hissy fit, somebody crashing out. No, we see someone thanking God and thanking his family for the opportunity to even play the game and be here. This obsession with making young black boys grovel at the feet of like white corporations, that's something I thought we left behind with the Michael Orr mess. And he even said he was horrified to look back at how people had changed his story to be how he was like this mute and brutish animal who couldn't play football and didn't know anything until the white people saved him. I have more to say about the stories we want to squeeze out of young black men, but until then, keep your chin up and your chain on, Mr. Sanders, because I'm glad to see you win in this case.
From that clip alone, you are able to see that people have varied opinions about how the entire situation in America is. But then we cannot deny the fact that meritocracy in America was long dead. It's already a myth that can't be justified in any way. Most blacks don't get to climb up the ladder because of the skin color they have. It's because they're considered blacks. And we have always said that sometimes it seems like the whites in America are always very afraid of blacks rising up and being in power. This is something they are not ready to experience. And I think what really pushes them into this kind of behavior is the fact that for many years, they have always put black people through hell. They've made them really suffer in many, many different ways. And that makes them really think that the day blacks will get power will be the day they will start regretting their choices or even the things they did before. So, white supremacy, though often denied, continues to cast a long shadow over black Americans, weaving systemic inequalities into the fabric of society. Historical policies like redlining, which segregated neighborhoods and limited black wealth building, have generational ripple effects. Today, black families hold a fraction of the median wealth of white families, despite comparable education levels. Criminal justice disparities further entrench this divide. Black Americans are incarcerated at 5 times the rate of whites, often for similar offenses, fueling cycles of poverty and disenfranchisement. Implicit bias in hiring, where resumes with black-sounding names receive fewer callbacks, and wage gaps. Black workers earn 75 cents for every dollar earned by white counterparts. This demonstrates how opportunity remains uneven. These aren't isolated incidents, but patterns rooted in a legacy of exclusion from slavery to Jim Crow that no amount of denial can erase. While individual efforts matters, structural barriers often outweigh personal merit for black Americans. America's meritocratic ideal falters under scrutiny. A truly merit-based society would reward talent and effort equally. Yet systemic factors, wealth disparities, unequal schooling, and nepotistic networks skew outcomes. Children of affluent families disproportionately white inherit advantage like elite education and social connections, giving them a head start no resume can match. Meanwhile, black students face underfunded schools and higher disciplinary rates, stifling potential before it can even bloom. Political influence too bends towards wealth, not merit, with lobbying and legacy admissions ensuring the privileged stay privileged. The myth of meritocracy ignores these realities, pretending hard work alone levels the playing field. It doesn't. America's system, built on historical inequalities, continue to favor those already advantaged, undermining the promise of fairness for all, especially black Americans. So that is the case of what's going on in America. You cannot come out and say that America is a merit-based society. America is the land of the free and opportunity to everybody. Yet we see how biases are perpetuated to black people. Tell me down in the comment section what you think about this. And if you're watching us for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.